Okay, so now we're going to be looking at the word dissolve. So I'll write it on the board. Okay. So, do you think you know what this word means?
No.
Okay. Do you think you know of anything, maybe you've heard of something that dissolves? And if you haven't, that's fine. We're going to be going over it.
Sugar.
Sugar dissolves. Yeah, that's a good example. So, can you tell me maybe something that you have had sugar dissolve in before?
My lemonade.
Your lemonade. Ah, yes, lemonade. It's a very good example of how sugar dissolves. Nice. Okay, so the definition that we'll be using today for the word dissolve is to dissolve means to be incorporated into a liquid or to be broken up and absorbed. Okay? So in order for something to dissolve, it's important to realize that it needs something to dissolve in. So an example I'll give you is hot cocoa. Have you ever used a little hot chocolate packet to make hot cocoa before? And what do you put it in?
Milk.
So can you describe to me the steps that you use to make hot cocoa that way?
My mom puts milk in a pan and then opens a packet and then puts the powder into the liquid milk and then stirs it around, and slowly the clumps dissolve.
Oh, wow. Great use of our word today, dissolve.
Thank you.
Nice. So you use milk and the powder. So if I just put powder in a mug, is that not hot chocolate?
I don't think so.
No, then what's missing? What do I need to add to it?
The liquid.
The liquid. You need to add the liquid to the powder, and then it all mixes together, right? And
Yes.
you can't, when you're drinking the hot chocolate, can you taste the powder? Do you feel the powder in your mouth while you're drinking the hot chocolate?
No. Sometimes with Nesquik in the bottom.
Oh, so there are some powders that dissolve better than others. Interesting point there, Becky. Thank you for bringing that to our attention, because it's a very valid point. So with good hot chocolate powders, ones that dissolve better than others, you just taste like you're drinking chocolate milk, right?
Mm-hmm.
All right. So it's important to also notice that that dissolving is different from melting.
Mm-hmm.
For example, if you dropped an ice cube on the floor and it turns into liquid, just like the hot chocolate packet was, at the end it was a liquid, but you started with powder and milk for the hot chocolate, and with ice cube you started with water and it ended up still being water. So it's two different things, right? So I'm going to give you some examples and some non-examples of dissolving, and I'd like you to tell me if it's an example of dissolving or if it is not an example of dissolving.
Okay.
And why. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
So the first example, which we just discussed, is hot chocolate.
That is a dissolving example.
Is dissolving. Okay, and how is that an example of dissolving?
Because it is two separate things. One that is a powder, it could be something else, I guess, so you could dissolve. But it's two separate things come together and one dissolves into the other.
Mm-hmm. And it's interesting that you point out that it could be something else. So what else could dissolve into milk or water to make hot chocolate, if not a powder?
A syrup.
Yeah, that's a good
Maybe.
example. So it doesn't always have to be...
Or a bar of chocolate.
Right. It could be a liquidy type of syrup, or a solid bar of chocolate could dissolve into hot chocolate, right? Okay, second example is throwing rocks in a lake. If you drop a rock in a body of water, what is that an example? Is that an example of dissolving?
I don't think so. Maybe after many years, a rock could dissolve into the water.
That is a very good point that even I didn't think of when I came up with that example.
But immediately, no. Maybe after thousands of years.
Okay, yes. That's a good example, because a lot of wear and tear and who knows, it could dissolve.
Things. Yeah.
Yes. And we can look into that further later to see how long it might actually take for a rock to dissolve. How about, this might be an easier one with less gray area than a rock in a body of water. How about salt in pasta water? Have you ever seen your mom putting some salt in the water before she's boiling it?
I think it dissolves, or does it?
It does.
Dissolves.
Yeah,
yes.
That is an example of dissolving. How about cereal in milk? When you put the cereal in your bowl and you pour your milk over it.
No.
Usually
yes.
No. Yes. Okay. Yes, exactly. Because when you're looking at that bowl, you can see pieces of cereal and you can see the milk around it,
Right.
which means the cereal did not dissolve into the milk.
Yeah.
How about honey in tea?
Yes.
That's an example of
dissolving.
And how is that an example of dissolving?
Because you put the honey, which is like, liquid but still heavy, into the hot water, and it dissolves as you stir it.
How do you know at the end that it has dissolved?
Because it's gone.
It's gone? What do you mean it's gone?
It's incorporated.
It's incorporated. Very good, Becky. Nice use of our definition.
Thank you.
It's nice that you use the word it's gone, because that's a common misconception of dissolve. Because sometimes it's easy to think that when something dissolves into water, all that's left is the taste of it or the color, but really it's still there. It's just become incorporated into it. So all of the pieces of it are still in there. Okay, how about, let's see, sugar in coffee? What?
It dissolves.
It dissolves. It's kind of like the example you gave right away, which was you put sugar in your lemonade.
Yeah.
So what about the sand at the beach, at the bottom of the ocean?
It doesn't dissolve.
And how do you know that?
Because you can still see it there, or it's like still there.
Yes, that's a very
separate.
That's a good way to judge a good quick mental way to say, is this dissolving? Is it, can you still see it?
Right.
The original thing that you put in, because in dissolving you have the substance that you want to dissolve, like the hot cocoa powder. And then you have the solvent, which is what you put the substance in. And if you can still see both of them as two separate things, it hasn't dissolved, right? All right, so we're going to...
So oil and water?
Oil and water, what do you think about that?
No.
And how do you know that?
Because you see the two separate things still.
Yes, that's a very interesting example, because that's also something that has to do with another scientific property of density, and we are going to get to that next week.
Great.
Okay, so great. We're going to move on with the rest of our lesson, and yeah.